I don't know.
Renters and homeowners can bundle and save. For what? A trip to Bora Bora? Bora boring.
Okay, you know what? I'm in.
She's all yours. Want some tacos?
Nah, I'm not really in the mood.
Yeah, you're right. It's so messy. All the napkins, those different toppings.
Actually, I'm in.
Yeah, you are.
Friday night duels on the ACC Network Extra. Where else would you rather be than in Raleigh, North Carolina, as 6th-ranked NC State hosts the ACC leaders, 17th-ranked Pitt. As we get a look at what's at stake tonight, Pitt has a chance to clinch at least a share of the ACC crown. NC State trying to keep its hopes alive for its 5th in the last 6 seasons. As we take a look at the standings entering tonight, Pitt perfect 3-0. They've already won in Castle Coliseum at Virginia Tech. NC State, after a stumble in Blacksburg, has been dominant in its last 2 weeks with wins over Duke and Virginia. Hello, everybody. We welcome you Matt Side here inside Reynolds Coliseum. I'm Andrew Sanders, alongside the 5-time All-American Hayden Hidley. So glad you could join us as well. Look, it's a big match, no doubt about it. Adrenaline, nerves. Take me through the mentality as a wrestler before a big match.
So obviously this is a big team versus team match. As a wrestler, however, you've got control of one match. You're taking on one opponent. You're not taking on all 10. So as a wrestler, you've got to be focused on your match, know your role within the team, and the rest of it will take care of itself.
We've got 7 ranked versus ranked matchups tonight, and we're going to spotlight 141. How could we not? It's a top 5 matchup.
Both of these guys are familiar with each other, have had very close matches in the past where one mistake has made the difference, and that one takedown might be the difference in the match.
It's not just the lightweights that are interesting, but we've got a clash of the Titans top 10. Couple guys with some history at 197. Hitzer and Trepin at heavyweight. Stay with us. We'll start at 141 when we come back.
At Metro, you can save even more than before. Get a free Samsung Galaxy 5G with 50-megapixel quad camera. And with a phone like that, you can share even more family moments. Only at Metro.
What's he doing?
He's cleaning the trash cans.
Oh boy. Meeting a new young homeowner for the first time is a unique challenge.
So you think you can help?
I can try. Hey, what you doing?
Just cleaning my trash cans.
Wow. It's important to build trust. See, you put your address and phone number on here.
Well, you can never be too safe.
With trash?
Progressive can't protect you from becoming your parents, but we can protect your home and auto when you bundle with us.
Don't look at the hedges, they're a mess.
No one's looking at the hedges.
As we welcome you back to Raleigh, a look at the head man for Pitt, Keith Gavin, his 6th year. Look, he was an outstanding wrestler when he was in school at Pitt. Now he's building something special.
Yeah, he's been to the top in this sport in the collegiate level, and then he made the United States senior world team. So this guy's been to the top of the game in about every aspect of wrestling and just provides a lot of confidence for his guys. You look at him on the sidelines, quiet, but very confident.
Speaking of building something special, Pat Popolizio for NC State and the job he's done here, 4-time ACC champion in a row.
The program builder, simple as that. He inspires a lot of confidence in his guys. He's feisty. He's a natural competitor. Can't wait to watch him.
Here we go, center. Set.
Here we go, underway at 141, a top 5 matchup. Cole Matthews against Ryan Jack. These guys have some history, as you told us, in the open. Scoring might be at a premium.
Yeah, these past 2 matches, it's come down to one takedown where Matthews has taken advantage of some reattacks. Jack is the normal, very offensive wrestler. In this match, he might have to take it back a notch.
Matthews 9-1 in duels this season. Ryan Jack 11-0. Both guys have lost just once in total on the year.
Yeah, just getting the feel for each other out here. There's going to be a lot of hand fighting, probably a lot of half shots in this first period. You want to be the aggressor and get the other guy to make a mistake, but you don't want to overextend yourself and give up a reattack.
Reattacks really where both these guys are so good.
Yes. So by reattack, it basically means when somebody takes a full-on shot to a leg, the other wrestler is looking for their kind of counterattack, and so we call it a reattack, where you drill it all the time in the wrestling room. You know, during practice, guys taking a lot of shots on you, you redirect it and then reattack.
Center.
So both guys are being offensive,
Center.
but it's the person who takes the initiative that might make the mistake on the reattack.
Last year when they met in the Steel City, Matthews won by a 3-1 decision. Matthews coming off of a couple of wins from last weekend over Carolina's 13th
Action,
ranked
gentlemen,
Lachlan
action.
McNeil. Also against Iowa State's Casey Swiderski, who's ranked 24th. So a couple of ranked wins.
Matthews is very comfortable in these low-scoring matches. He is pretty clingy on top, so he knows he can get a riding time point somewhere along the lines. But he's very comfortable when guys take bad shots on him because he's very good at reattacks. He's good at this front headlock position. He's looking to go head in the hole. No two yet. There's a 2-point takedown for Matthews. So there, Ryan Jack takes the shot, gets put underneath, and Matthews goes for the head in the hole
35.
technique.
Make sure we get a fair start here.
He
On a new
trapped
set. Cover
Ryan
and hold.
Jack's
Head in the
head
middle.
and his arm, and then he put the side of his ear into the rib cage and basically shut off Ryan Jack's one side of the body and was able to get into a leg attack and finish double on the edge.
Out of bounds.
They go out of bounds before Jack can escape. So both guys trying to set the tone. Matthews gets the early takedown in the first period.
Let's get another one. Bottom set. Cover.
What's going through your mind if you're Jack now?
Well, this is a dream scenario if you're Matthews. Getting a takedown close to the end of the first period. If he can ride this out, this is a very huge momentum shifter. This is probably the dream scenario for him to start this match out. Ryan Jack needs to get very active to get his 1 point.
One swipe, and that's all. And he does get the escape with under 10 seconds left.
That was an interesting situation there where Matthews kind of went for a bit of a suck back and tried to take him to his back, but in doing so, opened it up to giving up that escape.
Little risk reward there, and he does get the escape as you get a look at the top 5 nationally. This is a weight that can be wide open. This could be a preview of the national championship bout, perhaps.
It really could. In this 141 bracket, it's like you said, it's wide open. Aliris has been very impressive this season, but you know, that second spot, it could be any number of 10 guys. So, you know, we'll see what shakes out at the national tournament, but these are both two guys that have the talent and the capability to make a deep run.
40 seconds of ride time as Matthews able to trip up Jack, staying on top here.
I mentioned earlier about Matthews just being clingy on top, and he's been riding that right side leg, sometimes just with an ankle hook, and you can't stay on there for that long, but he does it for long enough to get the breakdown, and there he was able to get a full leg in. He's eclipsed 1 minute of riding time. He looks really good out there today. Really look for his reattacks early on.
Work to improve,
kind
work
of
to
pressuring
improve.
Ryan Jack in on his feet to take a bad shot and got to his front headlock position, and now he's putting on a pretty punishing ride. Where Jack can improve is keeping elbows in. He's going to create a scramble work to get out on top, but gets the one.
Hold on, Jack trying to turn it around. He does get the one.
So after that flurry, you think maybe Jack had the one, but he went for the reversal, gave up about another 10 seconds of riding time that might not mean a whole lot now, but it could be at the end of the match. And that third period, Jack's going to really have to get this riding time down, and he's going to have to get a takedown at some point.
We go under 40 seconds here in the second period.
Jack gets that ankle pick, but Matthews is very good in this position. He's going to look to fall off to the side, and Jack's going to look to split the middle in between his two legs at this point. See?
Let's take another look at the scramble from earlier.
See here, Jack's looking to get height. Looks like he's got one there, but goes for the two. Doesn't quite get it. ends up getting the one. "20 seconds left in the
20
second.
seconds.
Jack's going to have to get a takedown either in the second period or the third period, or he's going to have to ride out the entire third period, which against Matthews seemed like a tough ask. He's pretty good on bottom. It's going to be a very, very eventful 2 minutes in this third period.
Both guys content to take the current 2-2 scoreline into the third. Jack, an NCAA qualifier last year for the first time in his career. Matthews 3 times.
2-2.
He was an
Bottom set.
All-American last year, finished
Cover.
5th, and the ACC champion at this weight.
Jack has been pretty good this year of collecting riding time, and this is an unusual circumstance where he's given up this much of a deficit in terms of riding time. Right now, Matthews sits at 1:21 of riding time. Jack was going to need a takedown regardless, but you know, if he can get a takedown, he's still got to get that riding time down. So Matthews is sitting in a very good spot here.
Fingers.
With how defensive he is and how good he is at re-attacks in this head-to-hole position. It's an uphill battle for Jack at this point.
Under 90 seconds to go.
Wrestle here. Red, you're warned. Red.
And there is a stall warning to NC State's Ryan Jack.
First warning.
So
First
stall warning comes there. He got pushed all the way across the mat, and then when he was on the edge, back straight out. Made an attempt too late to get back in, but that's going to be a stall call every time, just with the amount of ground that he gave up. Right now, what I'm seeing when Jack takes his shots, it's a pretty straight-on approach. Against Matthews, he's so good defensively there, and he's got a very good sprawl and good head-in-the-hole counter. Jack's got to get angles, get him off his balance, and attack laterally, not so much straight on.
It's a tremendous crowd inside Reynolds Coliseum, trying to urge Jack on as he goes in for his shot. Waterfall now.
Matthews rolls through, very good counter wrestler. In again. Jack has picked up the offense. I'm not sure if it's going to be too little, too late. This 34 seconds is going to be huge, but against Matthews, you almost need to give yourself 20 seconds to a takedown because you know it's always going to turn into a scramble. He needs to push the pace now. There can't be any times we're just hand fighting.
25 seconds left.
Matthews is doing a really good job getting to the edge. But less real estate for Jack to get a takedown attempt. He's working the edge really well, and if
there's the stall warning to Matthews. Jack trying to circle, late clock. 5 seconds left.
So Matthews gives up the stall warning, but he had one to give there. That's actually a very smart strategy on his end. If you're on the edge, you can't really give up too much ground, and then if Jack takes a shot, he's going to go out of bounds, and gets a great re-attack. That head-in-the-hole finish in the first period, rides really well. Pretty good wire-to-wire 4-2 victory for Matthews.
Cole Matthews with the first period takedown in control of this match, and he wins it by decision.
Yeah, so here he goes, head in the hole, as chasing that backside leg, comes to the hip, and then squares off for a double leg right on the edge. This was a match I think Pitt had to win coming in, and it doesn't seem like that because it's the first match of the night, but if Pitt loses a matchup with one of their veteran guys that are very highly ranked, that could have been a big momentum twister for NC State. They came out, they got a win where they needed it, and now we're moving on to a match where NC State's a little more favored in.
Jackson Arrington against Tyler Badgett. And look, Arrington is a freshman. He has had a really tough schedule. He has kind of been through the wars already as a freshman going up against a ranked opponent in Badgett. What do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, so Jackson Arrington comes in with a 17 number beside his name. He's had 6 losses, but those 6 losses have been to all guys within the top 12 in the rankings. So he's had a very brutal schedule, and against similar opponents to Badgett, you know, those ranked opponents from the 20 to 33 range, he's really taken care of business. So this is a match that NC State is favored in, and if Pitt could keep it close, I think that's their recipe here. If you start giving up an early takedown, giving up riding time on top, I think Jackson Arrington's pace is just so good that it could be tough to come back.
Badgett coming off a win, 2-0 decision over Carolina's Jaden Scott last Friday, then faced a top 10 opponent. And Peniel Johnson of Iowa State lost that, but kept it close.
Yeah, he did keep it close, and Johnson was in on his legs for most of that match, but he had very stingy defense there, especially if he gets into that split-the-middle position where Jax, if the opponent is in between his legs, he's able to kind of waste that time there. This position here, he's been very, very good at. So if Arrington can finish cleanly here, it could be a good sign for the rest of the match for him. He does a smart thing and doubles off, but Badgett has control of that far ankle and is doing a really good job scrambling out of this position, is in the more aggressive position now at this point. Like I said, Badgett's very good in that position. If you're Arrington, getting to that single leg, getting up to your feet, rather than staying in that split-the-middle spot is probably his best chance of finishing against Badgett.
Arrington, the freshman, the three-time Pennsylvania State champ. He's from Sidman, Pennsylvania. And now this is a big spotlight on him as he is now trying to pick up the momentum for NC State after Matthews took the first bout.
So Arrington gets to that throw by single again. This time he's taking the leg up high. He's got to be looking for a funk roll coming. This Pitt team is all very good at this shin wizard position. Badgett's looking for a stalemate. He ends up stalemating it out, but showed very good defense there going to that shin wizard. Arrington had a little better idea of bringing the leg up, but you have to be ready for this whole entire Pitt team to go shin wizard and bring it back down to the mat. If there's one thing that they're very good at, I would say, is that shin wizard position. So that basically just means when an opponent gets in a single leg, they're going to lock around their own foot and kind of create a vice grip and then bring it down to the mat, and you either cause a stalemate or you start opening up your offense.
Couple minutes in, Arrington has found no way through the defense of Badgett.
One thing that has been happening there is Arrington's been on the clear offensive. He's taken a few shots. Refs are starting to count that in their head. There's been one wrestler who's been creating the action offensively. So may not have gotten that takedown in that first period, but has been the aggressor. When stall calls start coming, you might have to look for Pitt instead of NC State at this point. But he has been staying in, been aggressive in those defensive positions.
And another stalemate. Go back to the center of the mat with 11 seconds to go.
I would say after that first period, that's probably a win for Badgett. You took on Arrington's best shots and were able to defend them. Didn't get hit for stalling. 0-0 still in this match. Anything can happen these next two periods, but a 0-0 after one is a good score for him.
Look, in the ACC, and a lot of ranked wrestlers at this weight, 149 pounds. Henson is the clear favorite. He did beat Arrington earlier this season by a 6-1 decision.
Right leg comes in off the whistle. Like I said earlier, Pitt's got very good at shin wizard defense, also great leg riders. They've got wrestler on staff, Jake Wenzel, who was just one of the prominent leg riders in the entire country during his time at Pitt. And so you got to think those middleweights especially have a great feel for it.
Wenzel in his first year as volunteer assistant at Pitt, a guy that you have wrestled before.
Yeah, that was way back when, a little bit different. Both Pennsylvania guys growing up, though, so we're pretty familiar with each other. I got to talk to them yesterday. There, Arrington doesn't give up on the position, stands up, keeps his height, doesn't put his head down. It forces Badgett to make a decision. Okay, do I want to keep legs in and maybe give up this reversal if things get out of control, or maybe just give up the escape?
Badgett defending again against an Arrington shot.
I will say, I think with the amount of offensive shots, I think the next offensive attack that doesn't get answered will be a stall call.
You called it right there. There's the stall warning.
But we're still back in this tough spot. Badgett seems pretty comfortable. Arrington squares off with a double leg.
He is
laces that leg against the two. There he did a great job of collecting both ankles, switching off to a double leg, and not letting Badgett's feet hit the mat whenever he took the knees over. If a foot hits the mat, defensively, they've got something to push off of and then a scramble to create. There, Arrington took the feet away, doubled off, and even though Badgett had control of his ankle, he was still able to scoot his hips out. A big ride out here would be huge for Arrington. He's got 15 seconds to be able to ride this period out, go into the third, up 3-0.
Under 10 seconds. Badgett trying to build his base. Arrington in the top position for the first time in this bout. And he will get the second period ride out.
Take it back to this attack. Tax gets the stall warning, splits the middle, goes 2 legs over 1, switches to a double leg, doesn't let his feet hit the mat to roll through in a scramble, brings the feet up off the mat, jumps over, curls the leg. At that point, you're just waiting out to get your 2. Now strategy here on Arrington's end. You're up 3-0, you have no riding time, okay? You've shown that you can ride here. I would definitely try to get that minute of riding time. Look for your turn, because then you're starting to get into that major decision territory. Arrington's expertise on top, probably getting a bar arm, maybe rebar tilt or a cross wrist tilt.
Remember, Badgett's already been hit with a stall warning. This is a partisan crowd, but they're calling for another one.
Nah, I don't think you're going to get one there. He was crawling a little bit, but made an attempt towards the end to kind of make an offensive move.
Sure.
I think what you're going to look for here is Arrington taking out a little bit more of the gas tank of Badgett. He's got 30 more seconds to go until he gets a minute of riding time. He has gone to a good breakdown. If you can get 1 tilt here, I think that's the route to go for looking for a major decision.
Okay.
If you let him up after this minute, you know, that means you've got to get probably 3 to 4 more takedowns. I don't see that happening where, you know, if you keep riding hard on top, you might get a stall call, and then you're looking at, all right, you know, 4-0. I've got that 5-0 then for that point of riding time. That means 1 turn will give you the major decision.
Well, there's the ride time. Yeah, I mean, we've seen Badgett is really tough to score on from neutral.
I just don't think it would be in the cards to be able to get that many takedowns, especially with his split-the-middle defense. I think it would just waste too much time. So I think you're going to look for Arrington to try to go for this turn. At the very least, a third period ride out, huge for momentum. He gets the crowd involved. They're already asking for stalling. A third period ride out just shows that you're probably, you know, the more in shape, you know, the tougher opponent, and maybe that's a moral win. Maybe not get the bonus point.
We'll restart again with 25 seconds left. Badgett originally committed to ODU. They dropped wrestling. He ends up at Pitt, and they're awfully glad to have him. Redshirt sophomore from San Diego going up against the true freshman, and Arrington has been rock solid in this third period.
Let's go, guys, let's go. Let's do it.
Just a peek at the clock for Jackson Arrington.
Well, do a 4-0 win, takedown, escape, riding time point. That's the perfect game, I guess. In close matches, you did all 3 positions very well.
And he pumps up this crowd here. We said NC State needed some momentum, and the freshman provides it. Jackson Arrington puts NC State on the board after Cole Matthews started off for Pitt. 157 next in Raleigh.
At Metro, you can save even more than before. Get a free Samsung Galaxy 5G with 50 megapixel quad camera. And with a phone like that, you can share even more family moments. Only at Metro.
Well, I'm not 100% sold yet.
Okay, have you considered... It's fine, Flo. She's not interested. I get it. Not everyone wants to save money.
What's she doing?
I don't know. Renters and homeowners can bundle and save. For what? A trip to Bora Bora? Bora boring.
Okay, you know what? I'm in.
She's all yours. Want some tacos?
Nah, I'm not really in the mood.
Yeah, you're right. It's so messy. All the napkins, those different toppings.
Actually, I'm in.
Yeah, you are.
What a matchup we've got in Reynolds Coliseum tonight. Some of the faces you'll be seeing here soon. Isaac Trumbull, Trent Hidley, As we move on to 157 pounds. This is a fun matchup between 7th-ranked Ed Scott, and we see Dejan Casto for Pitt. He was out last weekend with an injury. He's back healthy, and they're happy to have him at 157 to set up a big matchup here of a couple of NCAA qualifiers.
Yeah, gets a little bit injured in that Virginia Tech match, has taken a few weeks off. Not the guy you want to see after a couple-week break. Ed Scott's very dangerous, but Casto's very explosive too. He's got great leg attacks. Just if you're, Pitt, going up against a guy with a high motor like Scott, you want to make sure that this first period doesn't get too crazy and starts getting into the lungs of Casto. You never know what's going to happen after a couple-week break. Whenever you're hurt during the middle of the season.
Casto, the grad transfer from the Citadel, where he was a SoCon champion last year, NCAA qualifier, and he upset the defending champ at NCAA's, Carolina's Austin O'Connor. Meanwhile, for Ed Scott, you mentioned Casto being injured against Virginia Tech. Scott took a loss by 14, 24-10 to Bryce Andonian in Blacksburg. Since then, he seemed to be really locked in.
Yeah, he's got a great fireman's carry dump there, and he's switching off to that high C and is rolling all over the place, doing crazy stuff. But Casto, he has a few big wins himself. That Andonian loss for Scott, I think, really maybe focused him. Okay. Made him realize the things that he's got to be better at and maybe more composed at during those big matches. Comes out pretty smart, looks for those leg attacks early. He's got high octane offense and can do some really dangerous things, but he's taking a little more conservative approach to this outside of these big cartwheel scrambles.
This is a lengthy scramble at this point. And these two guys just wrestling through it.
There, and you can see Casto's in a little bit of pain with that leg stretched out. Right now, Ed needs to get his arm out. Was able to get his arm loosened up from inside and come to the outside and double off there. It looked like when he had that leg up there, Casto was grimacing in some pain, so not really sure where he's at in terms of his health. Most guys aren't at 100% at this point in the season, but didn't look like he was, really enjoying that scramble.
Yeah, that looked a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So Ed Scott working hard in that scramble, but he does come away with the takedown, and now he goes to work on top.
Yeah, so that takedown was probably, almost 1:30 that it took with that scramble. So that can either take a lot out of you, or it can tell you, hey, I was just in that really long scramble. I might have given up that takedown, but it's all right. I defended it for a while.
Out of bounds.
They go out of bounds, 22 seconds left. Let's take a look at the finish here for Scott.
He's got that leg shuffle. Needs to get his arm to the outside. Pipes it to the mat. Forces Casto to belly out.
Go ahead and get set, bottom.
22 seconds here.
Top, cover and hold.
Ed's very aggressive on top. But in this situation, you need to get a ride out. Go up 2-0 with a good bit of riding time heading into the second period. I think most people with Scott look at his first period, sometimes they're like 10-2 or like 8-5. This is a little bit more of a tame first period, but he was pretty calculated with his attacks.
So a takedown for Scott in the first period. We're going to look at the top 5 wrestlers at this weight class, and there is Andonian, who has beaten both of these guys. Ed Scott just outside the top 5. Carolina's Austin O'Connor as well. By the way, I mentioned that Casto upset O'Connor last year. He also pinned Virginia's Jake Keating. So when he's looking to transfer, he's like, look, I already know I can compete in the ACC. As Scott cashes in and gets the reversal.
It's a loaded weight in this ACC 157. You have 3 guys, in my opinion, that can make legit runs for All-American, and 3 guys that can make a run to the national finals as well. There, Scott gets the reversal. You're at that point, it's 4-0 in the second period. You kind of expect Scott to chase down bonus points in this matchup. He hasn't been able to get a turn yet, so you're probably going to see here in about 30 seconds the staff at NC State make a decision to either cut him or get a little bit more aggressive with the turns. Right now, he's got a 4-0 lead. Riding time
stall warning
is over a minute, so essentially a 5-point lead. Casto gets hit for stalling. He keeps being aggressive on top. You need to get that 8-point threshold to get a bonus point for a major decision.
And as many coin flips, if you will, bouts that we'll have tonight, bonus points could prove to be the deciding factor, and we see the decision here for Scott to cut.
Yep.
And there's the
So there, Ed Scott, very good at underhooks, gets Casto to the edge, and Casto wasn't able to circle himself back into the center. Gives up the stalling point.
Boy, Ed Scott in the replay and in live action scoring points right now. This is the kind of energy he brings and why he's a crowd favorite here in Raleigh.
He is. He never stops attacking. Gets back to that underhook position, goes back to his signature dump. Gets another takedown. There's 20 seconds remaining. I think you're going to see him ride the rest of this period out. Not only is he in a really great spot for the major, he's starting to flirt with tech fall territory. Doesn't look like Casto has a lot of energy left in this match, so I think in the third period you're going to see a very hectic pace on Scott's end to get some points.
As you said, Scott looking to ride out the rest of this period. Just the one takedown in the first, but this is more of his pace and his style in the second.
And I think what you saw was just softened the blow in the first period, you know, took a little bit of energy out of Casto and has really opened up in the second. Against guys that have great attacks like Casto, there's, you know, pretty good double leg, pretty good from space. You've got to take them, you know, one step at a time.
Casto chooses down, and it'll be the optional restart here for Scott.
So what this tells me, Ed Scott starts on top, gives the free release. That shows that he's hunting. He's looking for more bonus points. He's going to be offensive on his feet. He's extremely dangerous from his feet for feet-to-back moves, and I think that's his best chance to get a lot of back points in this match.
Scott again wins out in a scramble situation. Casto, a guy that in his first 3 years in college, he was at 65. He dropped down and had that success last year, and now he's sticking at 157. The right time, as you see, over 3 minutes, and that tells the story. Scott with that last takedown. He is in major decision territory now.
Tilt coming for Scott.
And there's 2 swipes. There's a 4th.
He's going to look to switch off to a half and look for the pin now. He's got to get his weight back. It's 15-3. Riding time point, 16-3. Isn't going to matter. He's going to get the tech fall now with the back points.
He's got 4 more swipes. 2 huge moves in the third period. Ed Scott with a dominant tech fall victory.
Tactical tech fall. That first period was very slow, only had 1 takedown, but you could see for the rest of the match it took all that energy out of Casto. He finally gets on top, gets to his signature claw, wrist tilt, gets the tech fall. There in the third period, cleaning up with that dump takedown, switches off to a high crotch, goes to a double.
Got the celebration.
The backbreaker, Ed Scott, showed up for bonus.
So we move on to 165 pounds. And this is the matchup we expect to see, a ranked matchup. Holden Heller of Pitt against Matty Singleton. If it is indeed Singleton, it will be just his second collegiate duel.
Yeah, so with this new redshirt rule, getting 5 free dates for red shirts to be able to wrestle, Singleton is in that spot where you thought he might make the appearance tonight. Got a big win away at Virginia Tech over a ranked opponent. Heller's a bit of a step up in competition. He's been hot as of late. He presents a very interesting matchup. Does a lot of things unorthodox. Has a pretty good righty single, a pretty good righty high crotch. But his defense is very scrambly. He's very good with legs in on top. Not an easy matchup for a true freshman to go up against.
It is indeed the freshman Singleton who emerges amongst the fire. What an intro it is here in Reynolds.
Welcome to Reynolds. I mean, true freshman. just in high school a year ago, you're going up for the ACC crown here, taking on a ranked opponent, much older, much more veteran, probably more savvy at this point. But, you know, there's no denying Singleton's talent. As #1 in his weight class coming out of high school, a huge recruit for NC State. They brought him in for moments like this. And although this is right out of the gates, a few years down the line, he's going to be expected to win matches like this. Maybe not tonight. Maybe he's not the favorite tonight, but wouldn't want to rule out somebody with that much talent.
He is making his Reynolds Coliseum duel debut tonight. By the way, you can feel the heat coming off that fire on the entrance. All the way over here, Matt side.
Fired up for this duel. They got the fire in here.
Singleton.
Singleton's very good at underhooks. Throws it by, but Heller goes right into that roll through, kind of scramble. Singleton's got to get weight forward. He's in a good position to score. He's got to bring his foot back that Heller's holding onto. Try to get weight forward onto Heller's head and pull his leg back. Kind of in a dangerous spot there because his leg is so stiff. But both guys very flexible in this position.
Coach Gavin telling us that Holden Heller can, potentially dangerous there.
That's a really dangerous position. When one guy's leg is completely stiff and straightened out, whenever things start to go side to side, there's not a whole lot of room to go. And there, Singleton's kind of hobbled coming up.
Singleton trying to just work that out. Coach Gavin telling us that Heller will wrestle through all positions.
Yeah, I think after experiencing that, I think Singleton has a good recipe here of going underhooks and upper body, because if you're upper body, you know, and you're not giving Heller a leg to hold on to, he can't really roll with much. And Singleton's got a very good Greco-Roman background, you know, meaning the style of wrestling where there's no legs involved. So I think if he plays into his strengths here, you can avoid getting back into those scrambles. And, you know, maybe he felt that throw by Single with the roll through that Heller provided with the scramble. And next time around, if he can get a deep underhook, he'll be looking to bring his feet back and not give Heller the grip on the foot.
Well, you mentioned his Greco-Roman background. He did compete for the United States in the Pan Am Games as he fights off that one. Wrestled at 77 kilograms in Greco-Roman.
So Heller's very good defensively, but don't count out his offense either. Has a very good righty high C, very good righty single, and now he's in a really good position to put Singleton in some danger. He's got a low leg. He's going to look up to either come low leg cradle or step in and go Turk.
But
so he's going to wrap that leg in and try to get Singleton to his far hip.
Got the two already, looking for more here. Heller from Riverwoods, Illinois.
After that potentially dangerous call, Singleton came up hobbling a little bit, looked a little bit slower on his feet, and Heller started attacking offensively. Like I said earlier, Heller's got great defense, great scrambler, but he also has a, you know, kind of an underrated offensive skill set. He'll grab at the right elbow, get some pressure. Once pressure's met, he'll release and go into righty single or a righty high C.
Here at 165, you see Heller, Singleton in the rankings, along with McCoy of Virginia, the highest ranked wrestler, and Connor Brady at Virginia Tech. That's who Singleton beat in his only dual experience in college so far, in front of a tremendous crowd in Castle Coliseum in sudden victory. That was a gut check moment for a freshman.
It really was. It went to overtime. Went into overtime. He was able to get that defensive takedown in overtime against Virginia Tech. The Heller brothers are just really good on bottom, finding ways to get reversals. You know, they roll a lot. So, yeah, they put themselves in danger to give up back points, but they've got just these floaty kind of hips where they always seem to end up on top. And here, he's in position A. Right leg is in. He's very comfortable with leg in position on top. Singleton's got a little bit of energy out of him. You know, true freshman coming into college, bottom is always a struggle. You know, it's a higher level of top wrestling compared to high school. And Holden Heller is really good in this position. So not the position you want to be in for Singleton. I think looking back at hindsight's 2020, but you almost rather give up the escape there and not give Heller the position to be in where he wants to be.
Singleton lost just 3 times in high school. But facing a veteran guy in Holden Heller, a redshirt senior, Hofstra transfer. He's still got 2 years of eligibility left, by the way, for Pitt.
Heller's doing a great job with that leg in. He's keeping Singleton's right hip to the mat. All right, now Singleton's getting up to his feet. Either stay here to get that stall call or give up that escape. You know, that ride probably took a lot out of him, but getting that one is a huge momentum booster for him. You know, if you go into the third, down 4-0, you know, give him a ton of riding time, you're in that position to maybe give up the major decision. Here he's got 15 seconds. Heller would put himself in a great spot to get bonus if he could finish this shot.
5 seconds left. Heller still working. And no points awarded.
He didn't have the bottom leg.
The Pitt bench calling for 2 there. They don't get it.
That was really close. Talk about saved by the bell. That was as close to getting to and not having it that you could possibly have. If that would have played out for another 2 or 3 seconds, that would have been 2 for Heller. Now starts out on top. He's up 4-1. Riding time, you know, all but locked in. He's going to have to put in some work. He's going to have to get back points somewhere along the line to get the major decision. In my opinion, he came in as the favorite. He's been on a hot streak. Really interesting wrestling style. I think for Singleton, you know, he's so used to having the upper hand on his defense and his top wrestling, but Heller just does those things a little bit better. And so that's what you're seeing right now. Singleton's picked up the pace here. All right. If you're him, you got to probably get back to your underhooks and look to get to maybe 2 legs instead of that 1-leg attack. If you can get 2 legs and get feet off the mat, that takes away a lot of that defensiveness from Heller.
Heller did lose on Saturday, but he went up against second-ranked David Carr of Iowa State. You think that experience would help him coming into tonight?
Yeah, I mean, he got a takedown off of a scramble exchange against one of the best guys in the country, regardless of weight. So that's got to tell him that his style of wrestling is very troubling for even the best guys. So coming in against a younger opponent probably took a lot of confidence coming into this match.
50 seconds remaining.
So right now with the score being 4-2, Heller has riding time locked in, so essentially a 3-point lead. Singleton will either need a takedown, a free release, and another takedown, or he would have to get a takedown with 2 back points somewhere. Heller's sitting pretty good because he doesn't give up many takedowns as is.
Said he loves to scramble. We saw him score out of that earlier.
Heller's pretty content here to stand and hand fight in the center.
Heller looks at the clock. He sees it hit triple zeros, and he has defeated Matty Singleton here. Nice bounce back for Pitt at 165 pounds.
It was a match they were confident about coming in. He did what he needed to do.
So we've had 4 bouts. Both teams have won a couple. Ed Scott by tech fall. The bonus points giving NC State the team advantage as we look ahead to 174. The Pitt Panthers, Mickey Philippi in year number 7. Look, this is a team that is unbeaten in ACC competition, looking to clinch at least a share of the ACC crown tonight. We move on to 174 pounds. Luca Augustine against Alex Faison. You know, one thing we haven't noted yet, Hayden, tonight is that it's senior night here for NC State, and Alex Faison getting his due respect as one of the few seniors for this program.
Yeah, one of the few seniors, and Faison's kind of been a surprise starter at 174 for the Pack this year. Started the season at 165, didn't win that spot, goes up to 74. Takes advantage of doing well at Las Vegas Invitational, and he's been the starter since. Been making the most of this opportunity. I look at this matchup, not very, highly ranked wrestlers in it, but this is so big for the duel. This is one of the biggest individual matchups.
Okay.
I think, in my opinion, if Pitt loses this individual matchup, it's not by all means over for them, but they've got an uphill climb then where they have very few areas where they can make mistakes. Where if NC State wins this individual matchup, they've got some more opportunities down the line where, they're in a good position. I'm not going to say a great position, but they're in a good position if they win this.
So this is a potential swing matchup.
For sure. I think it's just very close. Augustine's starting to round into form, being a redshirt freshman. This is that time of the year. I think he's got some experience under his belt. Got a huge win last week against Clay Loud of UNC. Could give him a ton of confidence.
And I asked Coach Gavin, hey, did something click for Luka last week? He said, I hope so. He's a guy that loves wrestling. He's wrestling hard, and they go off the mat with some fireworks.
So Augustine, very good in underhooks, starts pushing to the edge, hoping to get that stall call. Faison doesn't have a whole lot of risk there. Probably not a whole lot of reward because there's no space, but he rips a headlock, kind of tells him, hey, I'm here. Stop pushing me around in this position. But Augustine's been the aggressor in this first period. Very good out of that left underhook. What he looks to do is throw it by to a single leg. So he's there again. Faison's going to keep his right elbow in to avoid that underhook. But, as the match goes on, Augustine's got a good lefty high C too, so he'll attack Faison's back left leg. So he's got a pretty good arsenal of offense. He's in tight matches a lot, but he hand fights so well that he can wear guys out.
Augustine came in, highly touted from Waynesburg, Pennsylvania, as the state champ at 172. Won a team title with Waynesburg High School as well. Augustine defending that shot.
Very active hands by both guys so far. Augustine, huge stature. His shoulders are huge. Heavy hand fighter. Faison pretty good from underhooks himself, and so this could be one of those brawling matches where both guys have stone hands, trying to submit the other guy into getting tired. It's been a pretty action-packed first period. Both guys looking to establish that forward pressure. With that
battle of stone hands, I like
battle
it.
of stone hands. With that forward pressure, though, it does open you up to some of those quick, explosive attacks because you're constantly lunging to go forward. Augustine's had a pretty heavy front lead and is looking to pressure forward. I looked over the coaching staff at NC State, and they're instructing Faison to go post and then shoot. He did post and go to that double earlier. It showed he was able to get to the legs. Wasn't able to finish, but that could be the recipe for a takedown. And there, Augustine shows his first glimpse of that lefty high C.
Out of bounds.
Augustine just so strong in that underhook position.
8 seconds.
He's going to look to keep going back there. Faison's got to make the in-match adjustment to keep right elbow to the side of his ribcage. If you can keep your right elbow in, it's very hard for the other opponent to dig an underhook on that side.
Okay.
Although that's a defensive position, you're kind of admitting like, hey, I'm not letting you in here. It's still, you got to keep it away from that underhook.
Faison ranked at 174. Clay Lout, again, Augustine just beat him last Friday. And then Makai Lewis, who is ranked 3rd in the country. Former national champ for Virginia Tech. Big mat return. And the fans here in Raleigh, they love a good mat return.
Yeah, you don't get any points for it, but it's a moral victory. You're picking a grown man up in the air and putting him back to the mat. So the acoustics here in Reynolds Coliseum are pretty loud, and people just really go excited for it. So Augustine's right back up to his feet, goes for that roll through.
And he does escape.
I think this match has gone pretty chalk for what my opinion on it would be coming in as a duel and individually. The Matthews and Jack matchups, obviously two highly ranked competitors, but Matthews have had the edge historically. And then you get into Arrington, favored matchup. Ed Scott, favored matchup, gets bonus. 65, Heller, favored matchup. It's gone chalk. This is the first match I think we're seeing where not many people have it one way or the other. And so, although you love to see, your superstars come out and win a duel for you, sometimes it's those guys that are on the fringe of rankings, those really tight matchups that can win you duels. And this will be a huge start for either team, whoever can get the win in this matchup.
We were talking about Mekhi Lewis. That's the only loss that Faison has taken in duels this year. He's 6-1. He's been good in his spot. Gonna throw Luka by there.
One thing that you've seen so far from both wrestlers' offense. So Augustine's been the aggressor, moving forward, fire off some leg attacks by going forward. Faison's offense has come from that forward pressure. Right, he attempted a slide by there, which works whenever the person is pressuring in, and you release pressure and let him slide by. He also has that ability to post and go shot. So you're seeing a pretty strategic battle here of, okay, Augustine's the aggressor who's going forward. He's got to get to his leg attacks by doing that. And Faison's looking for those counters or those just catching Augustine heavy-footed. One thing to note, they did call earlier in the match Faison getting hands to the face, so that you get one warning for that. If you continue to go hands in the face more than once, they will give you an opponent a point. And with how hard they're hand fighting here, you got to be aware of that.
Something to think about.
Yeah.
So we go to the third period.
Go ahead and get set.
Just the 1 point, just the escape for Augustine, and now Faison on bottom will try to do the same. You know, points were really hard to come by in that win over 8th-ranked Clay Loud, as we saw, you know, that loss dropped him to 14. But 2-1 in the tiebreakers. It was really tight.
Comfortable winning in close matches. Love to see that out of a younger guy. He's going to... We're in that same boat right now, where are you willing to let it go to tiebreakers, or do you want to be the aggressor and go out and get the takedown? Myself, I think if I was in Augustine's shoes, you've shown you can... own real estate at the mat. I think you keep going back to it, maybe throw in some more leg attacks whenever you get to the underhook and put more scoring opportunities. With Faison, he's had a few decent exchanges with that slide by in that post.
Okay.
And I think if you're him, you maybe look for one bad reach from Augustine, one overreaction, and then you're dropping into your attacks.
Trying to capitalize off that. You see Faison getting a couple words of wisdom from Coach Pop and the NC State side.
Stay in the center, guys. Work center.
Like mentioned earlier with Singleton, being the guy to expect to win matches like this whenever he's older, Augustine's in the same boat for Pitt. This is a guy that they're building their future around. And this is a very old team that Pitt has. He's one of the younger stars, but they're looking for him to win matches like this for this team moving forward. And what better way to maybe, clinch a share of the ACC title, put yourself in the driver's seat to win the whole thing, to get a win for your team here tonight. 34 seconds, it's gut check time for both guys. Both are extremely tired, even though they might not show it. Who's going to be the one to go out and get it?
Augustine pushing the pace.
No stall calls yet. Augustine's been pushing the pace. I don't think it would be out of the question to see Faison get hit for one. He's done a good job of not getting pushed out, but the attack rate is much in favor of Augustine heading into overtime.
5 seconds. Well, you said you think both guys are tired. Now you put 2 more minutes on the clock. And a first overtime that we've seen tonight.
Yeah, so we're going to have a 2-minute sudden victory period from your feet. First score wins.
We got 2 minutes.
And then we would head down to the mat if it's still scoreless after that. But Augustine's been the aggressor. He looks like he's pretty fresh. He did this last week, went into deep waters and went 7 minutes plus.
That has to give him some level of comfortability here in a tough environment. Coach Gavin telling us, look, the fans here in Raleigh, they are right on top of you. It is an incredible atmosphere. And Faison in with the shot. Can he finish?
Yes, he can. On senior night, Faison gets it done for the Wolfpack. Big flex to the crowd. Just caught Augustine. Heavy foot, heavy hand. Pop went to that double leg. Augustine was the aggressor, but Faison capitalized for the takedown. Huge for the team score implications.
The senior on senior night takes us to intermission with a big win. It started with Cole Matthews. They have gone back and forth all night. It's the Wolfpack with an 11-6 lead at intermission.
At Metro, you can save even more than before. Get a free Samsung Galaxy 5G with 50-megapixel quad camera. And with a phone like that, you can share even more family moments. Only at Metro.
What's he doing?
He's cleaning the trash cans.
Oh boy. Meeting a new young homeowner for the first time is a unique challenge.
So you think you can help?
I can try. Hey, what you doing?
Ah, just cleaning my trash cans.
Wow. It's important to build trust. See, you put your address and phone number on here.
Well, you can never be too safe.
With trash?
Progressive can't protect you from becoming your parents, but we can protect your home and auto when you bundle with us.
Don't look at the hedges, they're a mess.
No one's looking at the hedges.
Tremendous atmosphere as the lights come back on it.
Oh my goodness! Holy moly! Drama personified!
Hey, if you're having fun tonight, wait till March 5th, okay? That's the ACC Wrestling Championship. It's right here in this historic building, Reynolds Coliseum, and we cannot wait. NC State and Pitt, that's the headlining duel this weekend. But around the ACC, how about the top 10 Virginia Tech team against North Carolina? Austin O'Connor, boy, he is back to his national championship form. It looks like a major decision over Andonia.
That guy's such a hammer. I don't know any other way to describe it. He's so tough to score on. He's got such heavy hands and has really opened up his offensive arsenal this year. I think up to this point, he should be the kind of favorite to win the NCAA title. No, he's not ranked #1, but he's been very impressive this year.
So keep in mind, Virginia Tech right now with just the one loss, along with NC State. Pitt trying to stay unbeaten. All right, coming out of intermission, 184 as we get up into these upper weights. As we told you, all three of these matchups are going to be huge. It's ranked Reese Heller against Trent Hidley, who is 9-1 on the year in duels. What do you think about this matchup?
Clash of styles. I think I'm going to bring in a football reference here. If you're Trent Hidley, you got to run basic formation. You know, bring the fullback in the backfield, run ISO.
Go old school.
Go old school. Heller's pretty unorthodox, funky from bottom. Hidley's the better neutral wrestler. And if he can just get takedowns all day, you got to go to that.
Well, you see Hidley just using his strength, really bowling Heller right there for a takedown about 15 seconds in.
Heller's comfortable from weird positions on bottom. He likes to do a lot of roll-throughs. He likes to reach back. That's like the first thing in wrestling they teach you not to do. But with his just funky style, he's able to do it. And that's one thing you have to look out for, because a few weeks ago he was losing the Hunter Bolin, was on bottom, created a funky situation, ended up on top and got the pin. So when I said earlier about Hidley running ISO formation, that's why. You're very good on your feet. You're powerful. If you can just rack up the points from neutral, there's no real reason for mat wrestling.
Man, how on point were you? You said you got to bring in the fullback, and I think that first takedown was the wrestling equivalent of just, running it up the middle and letting that fullback lead.
The wrestling equivalent of having a fullback in the backfield is underhooks, snaps, running forward. And here you see in this first takedown, Hidley runs for that punch underhook double, goes to the hip toss, puts him to his butt. Heller is looking to roll through there, but he just stays patient with it. It's a fine line you have to walk whenever you're wrestling a guy like Heller's. Yeah, you will open up some spots to where you're going to be in a position to get back points, but the closer you get to that position, the more dangerous Heller gets. So it's almost like you got to take your medicine and get your 2-point takedown, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Reese Heller, this is the younger brother of Holden, and he gets hit with an early stall warning here. What'd you see?
Hidley's very good from that over-under position. What I mean by that, he's got an underhook on the right side, an overhook on the left side. And when he's in that position, he's so powerful because he lowers his level and gets his feet churning. And when you're on the edge of the mat there, you're either going to make a mistake and give up 2-point takedown, or you have to kind of back straight out. And there you're just going to get hit with stalling. So Hidley's one of the best guys in the nation at doing this. If you watched earlier, Arrington got a similar situation. Hidley's going to keep going back to that because he knows if he can get to the edge and put Heller in a bad spot, the next one's going to be a point for him.
Well, there comes that underhook flying in.
There, Heller makes an adjustment to go to his knees. If he stays on his feet, he might give up that stall call again, but here he's just going to get hit anyways. But the ref disagrees with me there.
So just that little adjustment really changing the perception.
Yeah, and it seems like, you know, to the viewer, like, oh, he's giving up the position, he's going to his knees. Shouldn't that be stalling? But really, in the eyes of the rules, in the eyes of the officials, you're not on your feet, you're not backing straight out, you're going back down to that, you know, to that front headlock position. But Hidley just keeps creating that pressure, keeps creating the pressure, and gets to his underhook, far ankle pick. There he creates that pressure. Heller thinks he's going to just push him out, but he drops right into that far ankle pick.
25 seconds,
picks the leg off the mat, right to the butt. 25 seconds left in the period. Hidley's going to look to get this ride out. You don't want to give up too much exposure, though, to put Heller in a good spot.
Out of bounds.
There he does it pretty smart. He gets him to the edge, and when Heller rolls through, there's no room for him to create a scramble. So that's probably the recipe for success. If Hidley has to stay on top, you might want to do it at the edge compared to in the center of the mat.
Hidley sticking with him. 10 seconds to go. Couple of takedowns in his first period, and now it looks like he'll get the right out as he's broken Heller down.
We flash back to the 157-pound match. It was a pretty conservative first period by Ed Scott, and then really opened it up. I think you're seeing something pretty similar here at 184. Hidley went to the underhooks, was pushing, got 2 takedowns, and he's going to really look to open it up here in this second.
You see how crowded it is at 184 pounds in this conference. And as you had alluded to earlier, Heller has already pinned Hunter Bolin, who's the second-ranked wrestler at this weight, as Hidley gets a quick escape.
Heller very good on top. Hidley doesn't give him the chance to get anything going because he just keeps standing up. And even though he got returned a few times, just that tenacity and that just like resiliency to keep building your pressure back up. Nobody on top wants to follow somebody that just keeps working like that. And so you'll see they'll be more willing to give up that release than and give the escape.
No 2 yet. Very close. And Heller able to keep.
So what you saw there, people were yelling too, but for a brief second it might have been, but you do get reaction time when you hit your butt like that. So we got him to his butt and had 2 legs, but he kept popping up once he hit his butt. Kept popping back up. Like I said earlier about his brother, they've got some pretty floaty hips. And that was very clean takedown. So what happened there, all match, he's building up pressure, and gets Heller to has to fight back, or he's going to get pushed out of bounds, and there builds up that pressure. There he drops to 2 knees, goes for that throw by takedown, and really just comes out on top.
Neutral.
Up over a minute of ride time, as you just saw a moment ago. Now 3 takedowns for Trent Hidley.
Getting a lot of confidence, building a lot of momentum with those underhooks, and Heller hasn't had an answer so far.
Heller gave up 10 points in a loss to Iowa State's 4th-ranked Marcus Coleman. He also lost to Carolina's Gavin Kane last weekend.
So there, Heller is able to just give up that single leg on the edge and puts himself in a position where it's really hard to finish. Hidley looks to double off, and anytime if he can get to just a single leg, Heller's very long, and it's difficult to finish on him from there.
Read your choice.
Trent Hidley, twice in a row the ACC champ, 5th in NCAA's last year. We talk about this crowded weight class. I mean, obviously you've got national championship contender here, but when you think about the weight class as a whole, the ACC could have several guys going All-American.
Yeah, and Hidley's kind of shown that he's distanced himself from anybody except for Hunter Boland. Boland and him just have very tight matchups. That's a first shot from Heller in the match. He's got to pull that foot in, but Hidley's in a good spot now on the edge where it's kind of hard. It's going to be hard to pull him all the way back into the center.
No, they went out of bounds. Action.
If you're Heller, that give you any confidence? Because for the most part, it had been all Hidley offensively.
It should, and I think especially just because his back was up against the wall. I think one more unanswered attack from Heller would have been a stall call on him. And so, you know, at least that buys him some time, I think. Yeah. So there's a stall call. Backs out of bounds, doesn't make an attempt to come back to the center. It's so exhausting to get in that position. You, as a Pitt fan, you want to be like, hey, circle in, but it's so hard because it's so exhausting.
Out of bounds.
Now, that was an interesting sequence there. There you saw some respect that Hidley has for Heller in that position. Had him in a double leg, and usually against guys, he's able to blow through, but Heller's so good at that roll through that Hidley was pretty conservative in that. Right now, Hidley needs one takedown to get the major. He's got riding time locked up.
And
over
at this
a
point,
minute.
he's thinking about that, and worst case, he's got the decision. Don't do anything to risk the match.
Your team's in a good spot, okay? You know you got one takedown. You've been offensive this whole match, and so one good takedown will cinch up the major for the team. 30 seconds left. A takedown and a ride out will do it.
And a cradle, perhaps?
Heller just Houdini's himself out of these positions.
Sprawl here.
15 seconds left. You're going to see a 15-second sprint from Hidley to get this last takedown. A takedown and a ride out would give the major decision 4 points towards the team.
And that will get rid of any major decision considerations as Heller gets his first takedown with under 10 seconds left.
Pretty good strategy there from Heller. He knew Hidley was going to be coming out fiery and just takes that shot. And Hidley's obviously upset about the performance there. Wasn't able to get bonus, but good win against a dangerous opponent.
Trent Hidley improves to 9-1 on the year against ranked opponents. He had 3 takedowns in this one.
Yeah, it was very offensive from the underhook position. Got Heller into some spots where he's not used to being. It was pushing him out of bounds, getting those stall calls, and was able to get to the ankle pick a few times to get the takedown.
So Hidley makes it 14-6 in favor of NC State. And now another one of these that we've been looking forward to all week. Top-ranked Nino Bonacorsi against 8th-ranked Isaac Trumbull. And if you're unfamiliar with the history between these two, Isaac Trumbull burst onto the scene 2 years ago with a big win over Bonacorsi in upset fashion. Beat him again before Bonacorsi got him in the ACC championship last year. So both these guys have had success against one another.
Yeah, they both have had success. Two completely different styles here. Bonacorsi is a volume shooter. There's never any inactivity in his wrestling style, whereas Trumbull is more the defensive mindset. He uses his leverage to put guys in a bad position whenever they take shots. And so here in this matchup, you're going to see Bonacorsi get on the legs at some point. Probably won't see Trumbull take many shots, but he has been able to score from those scramble positions. And Trumbull's so good on top that he's more willing to keep it in a close bout compared to Bonacorsi's mindset.
Bonacorsi, you say a volume shooter, but Coach Gavin saying one of the areas he's gotten better this year, he's just been a little more efficient with his shots. And against the guy with the defensive Trumbull, this makes up for it, right? They say styles make fights, right? And this is the interesting matchup.
Yeah, and I think he even made that adjustment before ACCs last year. Whenever he took his shots last year in the ACC finals, anytime he got to a single leg, he poked his head out the other side and just kept his head up the whole time. Whereas in those previous matchups, he would just get in on the legs regardless, take volumes of shots, ton of shots, and would put himself in a couple of bad spots. Whereas his shot selection was a bit better in the ACCs, and anytime he got into a shot, he got his head up. So even if he missed on the shot, you know, he was still in a good spot to just give up the free escape or just a stalemate compared to giving up a defensive scramble like we're in right now.
And this is, you say, a defensive scramble. I mean, this is the matchup, right? He's Bonacorsi in on a shot, and Trumbull, who's so tall, he's so lengthy, tough to score on.
Yeah, and so Bonacorsi's head is stuck between the middle. He's doing a good job of picking that foot up off the mat. Trumbull, for a big guy, has a lot of flexibility here, though, and is just sitting on top of Bonacorsi's head. If at any point in this scramble that you keep seeing throughout the match, any point Trumbull is sitting on top of Bonacorsi's head, Trumbull's in a pretty good spot to stalemate the position. Now, where this makes an interesting style matchup, if Bonacorsi keeps shooting like this, he's going to earn a stall call against Trumbull. So Trumbull's got to do a good job of hand fighting. He is good upper body, so if you can sort of ice away some of the time in the period by getting to an underhook and slowing the match down, you start decreasing the likelihood of giving up a stall call. Because Bonacorsi is going to shoot. That's in his nature. He's just going to keep shooting. So there we're back to this position. Bonacorsi's got his head in the middle. He's getting his head up. He's in a better position than he was earlier. Trumbull's looking to shove his head underneath and sit on it there. And there you're looking at, okay, this doesn't look like a great spot, but Trumbull's in the better spot here in the eyes of what they're trying to do stylistically. And there Bonacorsi's getting his head up. Trumbull's is going to look to lock around the leg and in the crotch here. Still doesn't look like a great spot, but Trumbull's just so used to being in these positions sometimes.
Bonacorsi taking a look at the clock and realizing no time to get out.
A little bit of frustration there from Bonacorsi. You're doing everything right to get in the legs, and then you're just running into this weird kind of style of guys just so tall and lanky.
So Bonacorsi is ranked #1 in the country. You see Trumbull just outside the top 5. And Bonacorsi with the win, of course, over 5th-ranked Younger Bastida on Saturday. Quick escape here.
So after the first period, you got to consider that a win for Trumbull. Of concern if you're an NC State fan, however, keep in mind, the referees always have a shot clock counter in their head. Right now, it's 2 major attacks of Bonacorsi to 0 attacks from Trumbull. So anytime you start getting into that 4 to 5 range, that's when a stall call should probably be warranted. And they do keep a track in their head. They are counting these shots. So it wouldn't surprise me around that 4th or 5th shot that's unanswered that you're going to hit for stalling. One thing Trumbull has done well, though, is holding center of the mat. That does play a factor into stall calls.
Just from an optics point of view?
Yeah, and anytime somebody's just kind of backing up, you're showing that, yeah, you're not the offensive person. Trumbull has taken some jabs at legs, which I don't think will be enough in the grand scheme of things, but it's delaying a stall warning for sure. He's kept in the middle of the mat, hasn't really retreated. He has given up the shot attempts, but hasn't really shown that he's not interested in being in those exchanges.
We haven't seen a major attack from Bonacorsi here in the second period yet.
Red, you're warned!
So
there's the stall warning.
There's a stall warning a little bit earlier than what I thought, but I think just because of how good the attacks were and how deep he's got on the legs and how long these exchanges are, I think he got rewarded there. I don't see any problem with that.
Keep that legal!
Once again, you see Trumbull on the head of Bonacorsi.
Yep. So Trumbull keeps sitting on the head. That's a good spot for him, but he can't score from there. So we head to the third period. We've got an interesting scenario to play out. okay? Well, Trumbull's very good on top. I don't know if you're Bonacorsi, what you do.
That's what I was going to ask you, because last year at Pitt, he beat Bonacorsi 2-0. And obviously, if you go bottom here, you risk that right out.
I think, so Bonacorsi picks neutral.
Red, you have a warning.
I think the big turning point in that decision was getting the stall warning.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you go bottom, you risk giving up all that time and all that momentum. And whereas if you just start the third period in neutral, okay, you're beating them in shot attempts.
So now if you're Trumbull, at what point do you try to take a shot just to avoid that stall?
I don't know if you do, because I think if you take a shot, then you're not known to be the offensive guy, and Bonacorsi is pretty good at those re-attacks. I think if you're Trumbull, you try to just keep getting underhooks. Slow this match down somehow without giving up the legs. And here, Popolizio's yelling score here. You've got to make this exchange last longer than just 10, 15 seconds. You've got to waste some time here, because Bonacorsi is going to keep firing off shots.
Oh, Trumbull.
Right easy.
Picked him up, and Bonacorsi dropped on his head, and a point awarded.
I have never seen that in a wrestling match before. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yes. No, you don't have injury time.
So Bonacorsi's in that split the middle position. He's got two ankles. Trumbull has a body lock, picks him up, and if it was freestyle wrestling, he would have been able to kind of throw him over the top for exposure points, but in folk style, doesn't get you anything. So what he did was just, like, you know, put him back to the mat. But what you can't do is leave both your feet. You can't leave both your feet and just knee pound to the mat. I don't think he tried to land Bonacorsi on his head. I think he was trying to land him back down and then sprawl and chase behind, but it's just a... that's a weird position, and I get why they called that, because he landed right on his head, you know, and it looked like an Undertaker special kind of move. But now Bonacorsi in the driver's seat, taking a ton of shots. Trumbull's got to find a way to score defensively, I think. Because I don't know, 45 seconds of this attack rate, I think he might get hit for stalling.
The pit side calling for two, and there it is.
You've got two.
Bonacorsi, who lost in the regular season last 2 years to Trumbull, got him in the ACC championship, now in control in the third.
Always doesn't quit. You watch his matches, he never gives up. You know, he's got that spirit of just dog mentality, and they keep going, keep going, keep going. Trumbull's in a good spot here to get a reversal.
And he's got
reversal. We're going to overtime. I might have been talked too soon about that dog mentality, never giving up, because Trumbull never gives up here.
This was one of our featured bouts for a reason. It is not disappointing.
Has not. Keep in mind, those stall calls carry over to overtime. Trumbull's been hit. He hasn't taken a major attack yet. Bonacorsi looks a little winded, but both these guys are competitive. Both are tough. We're going to find out who's tougher in this situation.
Their fourth meeting, and it goes to OT. Trumbull with a little momentum after the reversal, and the home crowd behind it. NC State asking for a stall warning.
I sense a little bit of a momentum shift here. Trumbull finally gets to his underhook. You got to think of shots coming from Bonacorsi, but the fact that he was able to push him forward is a huge sign in this match.
Well, it's got to be deflating to give up that reversal with 5 seconds left.
Yeah, especially after all that work to get the takedown. He finally makes an adjustment to finish in that position, then giving up that reversal. Trumbull's back to the underhook, back to where he's probably best at in this neutral position.
Trumbull on a re-attack.
Trumbull's got to get that right leg sprawled backwards. And there he breaks the grip. He's going to look to lock around the body.
1 minute to go.
So it's advantage Trumbull here. He's got to get his weight back. He's looking to step over that ankle. Now he's going to look to lock in the crotch and step over. He's in a good spot here. He's got to get his weight forward. Should be 2.
Still plenty of time left.
He still has a hold of the leg, so no 2 yet. But he's in a good position if he can get his weight back and break that lock. Bonacorsi's not giving up on this position, though.
Trumbull.
Roll through, scramble.
And potentially dangerous is whistled here. Still a lot of time left.
That was wild. I thought at 2 points there, Trumbull was dead set on getting that takedown, but Bonacorsi just never stops wrestling. You got to give extreme amount of credit to both these guys for that. They've never stopped wrestling this whole entire bout. Now as we head to the mat, you got to think advantage goes to Trumbull here. Bonacorsi didn't pick bottom in the regulation.
Right.
Your choice, Red.
So no point scored in the 2-minute sudden victory period.
If you're Bonacorsi here, you have to sell out on getting a ride out.
They go to the tiebreakers.
You don't want to leave it up to you having to get out from bottom. So sell out on this ride out.
And you'll take a caution. Like you said, sell out.
Yep. Sell out for the ride out because you know that whenever Trumbull gets on top, you're not in the favorable position. Keep in mind here, riding time's eliminated once we go to overtime, so we're starting at scratch here. 0 seconds of riding time for both guys. However, in overtime here in this ride-out, if the score is tied at the end of these 2 periods, these 2 30-second periods, whoever has more riding time will win the match. So, say for example, if Trumbull gets out, gets an escape, Bonacorsi has 17 seconds of riding time, and Trumbull gets 18 seconds of riding time and gets an escape, Trumbull would win with the riding time. But here, Bonacorsi selling out for that ride out.
Trumbull to his feet. 10 seconds. Trumbull gets
the escape.
Now they've got on the clock here under 22 seconds. But that was about 27 seconds. The clock started late there. Trumbull got out with about 3 seconds left.
It's showing 26 seconds of riding time. It should be 26 seconds of riding time advantage for Pitt. So what this means, obviously, if Trumbull rides out this 30-second, he wins the match. It'll be 4-3. But, all right, if he gives up an escape in less than 26 seconds, he's got to score.
Sure.
Bonacorsi would win the match if he leaves, if he has riding time on the board, whoever, they would win in a tie situation. So Trumbull, in your mentality, you got to ride out.
He's thinking, I got to ride it out.
You got to ride it out.
And Bonacorsi, again, has set the bar at 26 seconds.
Trumbull has a stall call. Keep that in mind. He's got to climb up from here. Gives up the escape. Bonacorsi would win right now if it ended here.
A quick escape for the top-ranked wrestler in the country. Trumbull's got to score, but it's Bonacorsi getting to his offense. They go off the mat with 10 seconds left. Wow, what a job by Bonacorsi here in the tiebreaker.
It's so impressive the way he was getting his elbows back. Right? Anytime your elbows are forward, Trumbull can come inside and grab at that claw. He got his elbows sucked in right at the whistle and just really eliminated anything for Trumbull to grab onto, and he just exploded out. Just grit. That's really what it comes down to. Great technique, but just the heart of a warrior out there. The guy never gave up. Both guys didn't, but really impressive victory.
Trumbull gets a reversal with 5 seconds left to force overtime, but it's the top-ranked wrestler at 197, Nino Bonacorsi, who doesn't just get the escape, but he gets the takedown as well.
There was times that match where he thought he was a little tired, but he always came back. Always came back.
Heavyweights on their way next.
How do I know you'll be good enough for my son?
Well,
you see, he enjoys the finer things in life, like his Old Spice Gentleman's Blend Lavender and Mint Body Wash that gives him impossibly smooth skin. I see that you enjoy the finer things in life, too. Is that lavender I smell?
Oh, what?
It's okay. I use this body wash, too.
Really? You used all my Old Spice body wash?
What makes you think so? She did it.
Kids are so expensive, Dad. Now Katie needs braces.
Maybe try switching your car insurance to Progressive. You can save hundreds.
I don't know, Dad.
Maybe try switching your car insurance to Progressive. You could save hundreds.
It's a great idea, TV Dad.
But I said the exact same thing.
Someday when you're a father, you'll understand.
I'm his father.
It's not a competition.
Listen to Your TV Dad. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save nearly $700 on average.
NC State with a 14-9 advantage through 7 matches as we move on to the heavyweights. Hey, what's at stake tonight again? Pitt with a win can clinch at least a share of the ACC title. They need to win at Duke next week to get it outright. NC State staying in contention, trying to win their 5th, at least a part of it, in the last 6 years. So NC State in a good position here, obviously up 14-9. Nino Bonacorsi in tiebreakers, doing what he needed to do to keep Pittsburgh's hopes really still fueled. As we look at the matchup here at heavyweight, it's a top 12 matchup. Pitzer against Trepin. What do you think here?
Well, Pitzer's a little bit undersized in this match, but he moves so well. He looks for those low attacks, and he rides well on top. So not the biggest heavyweight you're going to see, only coming in at 220.
220, yeah.
So Trevin's got some weight on him, but Pitzer's just, he's so quick with those leg attacks. He wrestles like a lightweight, and that makes for some matchup problems for some heavyweights. Trevin, however, very athletic, and I think you're going to see a close match here. Now, in terms of the duel, Pitt's back is up against the wall. They need to win these last 3 matches. There is an avenue for them to win if they only win 2, but then they would need some serious bonus points somewhere. So if NC State, I think their best 2 chances of icing this duel is in this heavyweight match and in the 125-pound match. NC State's in a good spot because you only need 1 win. Pittsburgh, you need 3 to clinch that share of the ACC title. So huge team score implications here. I think you're going to look for probably a more low-scoring match. Pitzer's good at those low attacks and keeps moving his feet, but Treffin moves incredibly well for a bigger guy.
Pitt coming off a loss on Saturday, 16-15 to 3rd-ranked Iowa State on criteria, and it came down to Pitzer's bout. He gave up a takedown with 10 seconds left. That's how close Pitt was to a top 3 victory. It would have been their biggest. You see what he did in high school, 3-time Pennsylvania state champion. They pulled his red shirt. They think he can compete for a national title this year.
This is the year for Pitt. He needs to be out there wrestling at the national tournament for them. They've got an older team. You know, Bonacorsi in his last year. Filippi's in his last year. You know, got to give yourself the best opportunity to bring home a team trophy, and they have a team that can do that if they go on a run, and Pitzer's one of those guys that they would look towards to making an All-American run. He's beaten some really heavy hitters in this heavyweight division. Treffin's been one of those guys that has improved vastly from last year to this year, moved all the way up to number 12 in the rankings, and he's another one of those guys where going to be in the mix with things at NCAAs. Maybe not able to compete just yet with those top-level guys, but he's good enough to find a spot on the podium. Both of these guys are in that position.
Treffin trying to circle, it's defended well. You know, Pitt coming just that close to upsetting Iowa State. You know, they're ranked 17th coming into tonight. NC State coach Pat Popolizio saying this is a top 10 team. You know, they had some stumbles early against Maryland and West Virginia, but this is a lineup that is really tough.
Yeah, I think at the beginning of the year, you look at their lineup and you see so much potential. Like, you know, this is a really good team, and then they take some head-scratching losses against Maryland and West Virginia, and you're hoping, like, will the real Pitt Panthers please stand up? And they did at Virginia Tech, and they did against Iowa State. I think you're seeing the real vision of this team. I think Coach Gavin wants to, has them right where he wants them, right where he wants his vision of this team to be. They just took a few stumbles to get there, and you know, it's a long year. It really is, and especially with that mix of really young guys like Pitzer, like Augustine, and then those really older veterans.
Niesenbaum of Duke and Hunter Katka of Virginia Tech also ranked in this weight. Both of these guys have beaten Katka already.
Don't move. Cover and hold to the whistle.
So that first period, Pitzer was more the aggressor in terms of leg attacks. Treffin had a couple good angles to go for those re-attacks. Where Pitzer's really good for this bottom position is looking for those reversals in order to get him on top. He's a very good top wrestler, so he's going to constantly look for those sit-out turn-ins, those switches, where Treffin's really good at this big mat return. Against some other guys, he'll mat return and pull him right back to their back. Pitzer obviously did his homework and kept his chest forward.
He's got the scout.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to pull that on him after some film review.
Especially, as you said, Pitzer's only 220, so it's not a problem of can Treffin do it. He's done it against much bigger wrestlers, but Pitzer I think ready for that move.
Yeah, and heavyweight's such an interesting phenomenon there. You got some guys that are 220. You got some guys that are 265. Some guys that are 280, pushing that 285-pound limit. You've seen a recent trend, lighter, more agile heavyweight. Look at a guy like Nick Wisdowski. Look at a guy like Kyle Snyder. Gable Stevenson. They're not tipping the scales towards the max. Pitzer is a little bit lower than those guys, though. I think, you want to have that ability to be able to be agile, move well. But I would like to maybe see Pitzer at like 235, 240.
That's the sweet spot.
In my opinion, I think so. For a guy that his height, I think he can put that weight on. And I think that was the only reluctancy with the coaching staff of Pitt this year. It's like, he's not that big. He's done really well, though. You just want to see him maybe be a little bit bigger. And here, Treffin's in a good spot to get to, but Pitzer's showing his scramble ability, his flexibility. What Treffin needs to do is get his left hand high. He's wrapped around two legs, I think. He's just got his head in a tough spot. Or my bad, Treffin would need to get his left arm all the way out and wrapped around the left leg. I think you're going to see a stalemate position or end of the period.
So a bit of action there to end the second period, but no takedown. And now we'll see Pitzer on top. As you said earlier, you said as a freshman, bottom is a little trickier, but you're a three-time state champ. You're used to this.
Yeah, I think it's being from Pennsylvania, you're used to good guys on top. He's a hammer on top, and so whenever you're really good on top, that usually means that you're pretty good on bottom too, because you know what guys are looking for. And now he's in his position where, hey, a minute of riding time gets you that point. Gets you seals the match for you. Might not have to do it on takedowns, but Treffin's pretty good on bottom. Pitzer's looking to ride here and just kind of collect legs and salt this match away. If you're Treffin, you got to take a page out of Bonacorsi's book from last match. Get your elbows in, get your weight back, stand up to your feet, make Pitzer return all that weight that you have. 13 seconds of riding time here for Pitzer. He would need another 47 more to get that riding time point.
Treffin gets out. And goes right to work.
Pitzer's good here. Treffin's been really good at those re-attacks. What Treffin needs to do is get his weight back, get his head in the middle. Now he's playing into where Pitzer wants to be and scrambling from these positions. Kind of takes away all the weight that he's giving up whenever he can scramble like this. But Treffin's doing a good job getting height. He wants to pull that bottom leg, the leg that's taped up. If he could pull that leg to him, he would put Pitzer in a pretty bad spot. But Pitzer's doing a really good job of grabbing Treffin's wrist and just is controlling Treffin from that position. NC State staff is encouraging Treffin to snap and chase. Snap and chase. I think that puts him in his best position to score. If he opens himself up to an attack from space, I think that gives Pitzer some ability to re-attack. They're looking for more of a conservative approach to get that too.
Two of our last three bouts have gone to overtime. Are we in line for another? Treffin trying to make something happen late. And runs out of time.
Great attack there by Treffin, just runs out of time. You got to think, I hate saying this because I sometimes will be wrong about it all, but it looks like Treffin has more energy here. Pitzer's low attacks haven't been there. You got to just be aware if you're that aggressor and you've had some momentum, don't walk into a shot, because you have that, adrenaline pumping. You don't want to overdo it. I think Treffin's best bet is to still snap and score. Here he's in a good position. He's got a lot of weight. He's got to push away the knees, break this lock, and get that head in the center. Pitzer just really strong here, picking that leg up.
Broken that lock. He's got the leg.
Wow. Really impressive balance for the big guy there. And you got to think, does that exchange take it out of one of those guys?
Treffin.
Oh my goodness.
What a scramble. Is that two? No, they say off the mat. And there comes the challenge break from Pat Popolizio.
So
what a scramble, Hayden.
This is the new age heavyweight. I will say in that position, Treffin gets to the double, and I think he just overdoes it here.
Kind of overshot it.
Yeah, he's got that adrenaline pump, and you're in position A here. And you always think if I just run forward and slam into the mat, well, you don't really with those big guys. That just creates so much momentum sometimes. Whenever he gets in on this double, I would have rather saw him just sink your hips, try to get him down to the mat. There he sticks his head up, and Pitzer just rolls through. So this position outside, I don't think you're going to see two. There is reaction time here. So whenever you can have a screenshot of the guy with clear advantage, but you do have some grace period to react, and that's why you're not seeing a two there.
So no two, but Treffin tells the crowd to get back up.
Both guys have been in good attacks. Both guys have been offensive.
Now it's Treffin's turn to grab the leg.
2-point takedown.
Pitzer.
The big man does it for the Wolfpack.
An overtime win for Owen Treffin. And that will go a long way to securing the duel.
So here he does a really good job of taking him back, getting his weight on his heels, gets him to his butt, drives through, doesn't overdo it this time. The big man does it for the Wolfpack. A very impressive performance by both guys.
Well, you could see what it meant to that NC State bench. As we go from heavyweight, obviously roll it back around now to 125. Trombley against Camacho.
Okay, so hits back up against the wall. NC State's in the driver's seat here. And Pitt would have to win 2 bonus point matches in order to win this match. So if you're NC State here, you want to win this match. You want to be as strategic as you possibly can, though, because Camacho does have some danger to him. He pinned Cooper Flynn of Virginia Tech in the previous duel meet. If they got a pin here, they're right back into it.
Sure.
But Trombley just pretty defensive, doesn't give up a whole lot of points. I think you're going to see another low-scoring match here. But Pitt, if you're Pitt, you've got to stress, all right, we've got nothing to lose at this point. We've got to go.
But here's the thing. Trombley has been getting to his offense, particularly the last couple of weeks. You're seeing a different Jarrett Trombley for NC State.
Camacho's stingy defense, though. He's in it. Goes for broke on that roll through, but good start for Trombley. We knew this would be a close scoring bout. If Trombley can keep up and peppering those legs, I mean, wow.
He's just a different, more confident. He was confident already. He's more confident the last couple of weeks.
I want to bring up a point here. I'm not sure if all the viewers back home understand the importance of that 141-pound starting spot. before weigh-ins, both teams, they flip a coin. Whoever gets the coin flip, you get to choose either the choice of, the second period comes around. What is your choice, bottom or top or neutral? Or you get to choose what starting weight. NC State wins the flip. They elect to start at 141. So a lot of people are like, oh, why would you start with that huge matchup?
It's not just to put the big matchup first. Nothing at all.
It's to give Trombley and Orini some more time off the scale. Trombley's coming down a weight. Been a 133-pounder his whole career. Goes down to 125. Doesn't seem like much to some people, but that extra hour and a half where he gets time to recuperate, get some more fluids in him, you see a much more energetic guy. And I think that bodes well for the NCAA tournament, because after NCAAs, you weigh in, you get 2 hours. And so you've seen him fire off way more offense in these kind of past few ACC matches. At UVA, they start at 141, give him some time to rest, comes out, his hair on fire. Here, has just got a position, you got to be conservative now. You've got 2 takedowns. If you can keep getting those easy leg attacks, then keep at it, but you don't need to go anything crazy. Another 2-point takedown. He's doing such a good job of moving Camacho's head to one side. That takedown was set up by a heavy club, redirect, and there he didn't even need to take a penetration step to the foot. He just drops in on it because he did all that work on the front end to get to the leg.
Colton Camacho now in his redshirt junior season has really improved for Pitt, but it's been Trombley who's getting the takedowns here in the first period. You mentioned the pen against Virginia Tech, and this lineup, I mean, boom, boom, boom. Camacho, Philippi, and Matthews is so tough for the Panthers.
I think you're going to see for the rest of this match a pretty frantic Camacho to try to get into these really danger positions. And if you're Trombley, you just got to keep redirecting the head. Like, you don't need to be in those underhooks. You don't need to be in those short offense positions where Camacho can look for a cement job or a cement mixer. You're in the driver's seat here. You control the hand flight. You don't need to take any attacks that aren't there. He's done a great job of it. Just something to look forward to these next 2 periods. Camacho's going to have to go for broke. He's there. He just gets into the ankle, doubles off. Really clean finish.
Trombley looking fresh in the first period. He got a win against Ventresca of Virginia Tech. Kept that momentum going against Duke, Virginia. Now Camacho has really improved on top. They say he's always good. He's really seen his biggest improvement in this position. And it's helped him because he was training with Philippi and Matthews. They brought in a couple other guys and said it's been really good for him because when you're going up against those two, it's kind of hard to score points.
Yeah, now he's in a position, okay, you're down 3 points. Trombley's controlled the pace of this match. When you get on top, it's almost like, all right, get a breather. You've got a new opportunity to collect 4 points if you can get a tilt or if you can get any kind of back point turn. Now, Trombley's being pretty strategic here. He's not opening himself up too much. He's given up that riding time, but the more time that he kind of spends just like wasting time here, look at that. That was a minute of the second period, and Camacho only has 12 seconds of riding time to show.
Would that be the football equivalent of running the football, taking the clock off?
You're icing down the clock. You're not in victory formation yet, but you're being a little bit more conservative. Maybe in that football analogy, you're on defense, you gave up some yardage, but you're almost in that kind of prevent mode.
I leave it up to you to make football analogies. It's Super Bowl Sunday. Who's playing, by the way? I know it's the Chiefs, but anybody else?
The Birds from Philly.
I would imagine that there's a lot of Eagles fans on both sides in this matchup, NC State and Pitt.
Yeah, I don't know. Those Pitt guys are all Western Care. They ride or die for the Steelers, but a lot of PA guys on NC State, so a couple Eagles fans here.
Well, apologies to the Pitt. I figured the state is split. I figured there might be a couple guys.
Hold on.
Out of bounds!
All right, so you've seen a few times exchanges of Camacho getting double unders. There, he threatened double unders. Trombley thought he was a little bit more comfortable going down to his knees, switches off to that cement job situation, had him in danger, but Trombley's butt was to the edge. It was pretty strategic about, if you're going to give up double underhooks, you better be on the edge. So you don't want to do it in the center because that gives that guy a lot of real estate to work with. Yeah. Trombley was at the edge, was in danger there for a quick second, but you saw him kind of use that edge to his advantage and got out of the way. Third period here, if you're Trombley, you want to shorten the period. What I mean by that is, at some point, Camacho is probably going to have an opportunity to be in neutral and do something. Really smart move there by Trombley. All right, he's giving up the count. If at any point you're holding onto a leg and you're on your knees on top, you're going to get a count. You've got 5 seconds to work up. So instead of that, Trombley just picks him up in the air, and the count stops whenever you're off your knees. And so he doesn't give up the stall call. But back to my point about shortening the period, you figure Camacho's going to get out at some point. However, if you're aggressive on top and you can get off a minute, you can get off even 45 seconds, that means you're only giving up then a minute and 15 of Camacho to work for. There, Trombley rides for 25 seconds. That's not terrible. It gives Camacho 130 to work for. You got to think, if you're Camacho, you're going to need multiple takedowns. So any, time is of the essence at this point for him. And Trombley just being really stingy defensively. Does a bit of a scramble roll through, now puts himself in the offensive position, but Camacho just doesn't give up, and Trombley keeps rolling through to get that 2-point takedown. Talk about the ability of these lighter weights to do these scrambles. I wouldn't in a million years dream of doing something like that.
Right time not a factor, and you see Camacho right there. You got to go for broke.
Got to go for broke, and Trombley's just been so smart. Whenever he gives up those underhooks, he gets his butt to the edge. And there, he was willing to give up a stall call because he hasn't been hit yet. Sure. But Camacho goes for broke. It wasn't in a good spot, and quickly Trombley changes his mind from defensive to, I'm just going to hop on top.
Second caution in Trombley.
11-5, 38 seconds left. It's time to go into full prevent mode here for Trombley. Camacho has shown that he's dangerous, and if the more opportunity that Camacho spends doing that, the worse off Trombley would be. So you're going to see him get to the edge and kind of ice away this match, I thought, but instead he takes a shot. This just goes to show I don't know exactly what's going to happen at all times. But even here, he just wasted a ton of time. Probably didn't have any intention of scoring that shot, but had intention of wasting a lot of time. Gives up the 2, but that just took up 25 seconds.
Trombley does
impressive win for Trombley. In what I thought was going to be a close match, Trombley just opens up the floodgates. Looks like a brand new wrestler in the second part of the season. Give him some time after weigh-ins. This guy's explosive.
Treffin with a thrilling sudden victory win. Then Trombley ices his bout and ices the duel for NC State.
At Metro, you can save even more than before. Get a free Samsung Galaxy 5G with 50-megapixel quad camera. And with a phone like that, you can share even more family moments. Only at Metro.
Down, 1 to go. NC State has clinched to the duel over Pitts, thanks to Jared Trombley's 11-8 decision over Colton Camacho. That takes us to the standings. Look, everywhere else across the ACC done except for us here in Raleigh. Virginia Tech at 3-1, along with Pitt and NC State. And so we've got a three-way tie for first.
Yeah, if things go the way that you think they are next week, we're going to end up with a three-way tie for a conference championship. You know, NC State, Pitt, and Virginia Tech are going to have to get it done, but still, you know, that's a very interesting place to be as a conference.
We close things out at 133 pounds. Mickey Philippi against Kai Orini. You see Philippi holding up the 7 fingers. That might be his favorite number, I don't know, but the 7 stands for that's his 7th year of college. This is a guy that you wrestled as a kid.
Yeah, so it was way back in junior high, but, you know, if you look at Mickey Philippi over the years against NC State has not beaten him. He has just had the Wolfpack's number for a long time. And if you're Kai Orini, you're in a really good spot here. You've got nothing to lose.
Sure.
The dual meet's locked up. This is a guy that you haven't been able to figure out for a long time. And what better way to do it whenever there's no pressure for you to really win this match? You can afford to maybe take some more risks. And Philippi's one of those guys that he's really comfortable in those close matches. He's done a really good job, though, I will say this year, of getting to that 2-on-1 tie and creating some offense from there. In years past, that's been his Achilles heel, is like, can you get a takedown against those best guys? And with how good he is on top and how good he is defensively, like for a guy like that, you just need one. You need one attack that can threaten somebody. And what you're going to see technically from him throughout this match is you're going to have like a glue lock on the Kai's wrist, and he's going to look to create a 2-on-1. And what I mean by that is he's going to have one hand on the wrist, he's going to have one hand up by the armpit and isolate one of Orini's arms. And where he likes to score from that then is to kind of bring it back down to the mat and use his long legs to kind of wrap around Orini's body. It's not a very orthodox folk-style technique, but he just uses his strengths here, and here he's getting to that 2-on-1 position. He's going to look to try to get Orini back down to the mat and try to spin behind to his left side.
He beat Orini by a 4-1 decision last year. You see Orini, the NCAA qualifier. Pat Popolizio saying that Kai continues to wrestle better and better as the year goes along, and they feel like he's starting to peak at the right time.
It's another one of those guys, I think, like Trombley, you get adjusted to weight class. He's a pretty big 133-pounder, and his wrestling is so predicated on his explosiveness and his athletic ability that, you know, on those times when you've got a tough cutter, you're not feeling it. That's got disaster written all over it for those explosive guys. And so Kai, I think you see as the year goes on, gets more used to the weight cut, more used to getting his body down to a lower weight. I think you can see his ability after a 2-hour weigh-in at the ACCs, his ability after a 2-hour weigh-in at NCAAs. I think he can be more dangerous there than a traditional 1-hour dual meet. And there you see just Philippi going back to his bread and butter. He's got 2-on-1, and he's isolating that entire right arm of Orini. And although it doesn't look like he's doing a whole lot, he's in an offensive position. He's not going to get hit for stalling there. And he's just wasting just so much time of this match there, where Orini is really good from space, really good with those blast doubles and getting angles. And the more time that Philippi's in contact with Orini, the less time Orini has to do anything to use his athletic ability in this match.
So Philippi, as we said, in his 7th year in college, he was really one of the first guys to jump on board with Coach Gavin back when he was at Virginia as an assistant. Spent 1 year there and then followed him to Pitt in year 7, 4 times an NCAA qualifier. I mean, he is a veteran. And one of the few guys in college, he actually, last summer, July 2nd, 2022, married his high school sweetheart, Marissa. So he is in his 7th year in college. He's married, very mature. And he is a top 10 wrestler looking for not just an All-American, but a podium finish.
Yeah, you got to give him credit. You know, like, it's a Pittsburgh guy, goes to UVA, isn't the right fit for him, goes to Pittsburgh, follows Gavin there, and has just been one of those guys for them that has just held up the program. You know, one thing that everybody talks about is, he doesn't have an All-American finish. He's had so many top wins, but, where's the payoff in March? And it doesn't need to be said, to a guy like that. That drives him. And I think you've seen an improvement in his offense. I think he's more willing to push the pace a little bit more and developing that 2-on-1 tie to get to some offensive positions. I think it's just been those finishes in March where, losing those close matches, it helps so much if you can get a takedown, and that's kind of what has burned him. And he has the ability to get big wins. That's been proven. He's beaten guys like Dayton Fix. He's had close matches with just about everybody in that division. It just hasn't been able to break through at the national tournament. That's always on the back of your mind with a guy like that that's always ranked in the top 10. That takedown, finding the takedown against those elite guys, that's got to be the difference for him. He's got to find a way to control the pace of the match from neutral. He's got to find a way to get himself on top with a lead where he doesn't have to worry about, frantically searching for one.
He's made the blood round 3 times, hoping for that breakthrough this year.
It's a heartbreaking round. It really is. It's just like not being able to go through like 3 times that can either really break somebody or it can motivate them to get something that they've, a lot of people say they can't do. And I think that's the mindset of Filippi.
Seatbelt.
He's got to get his one here.
He does.
Pretty impressive ability there for Arini to ride. You see right now where we're at. Okay, Arini's got 1:05 of riding time. Does that mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things? I think so, because when it comes to this third period, Arini has choice. If he doesn't feel confident in his ability to get off bottom against just this leech of Filippi on top, he can go neutral, which I think that's the way to go, because if you go down, all right, your riding time point's going to go away. You're not, against a guy like Filippi, you're not going to get out in 4.9 seconds.
Sure.
So you essentially are going to be in a time match regardless. And I just think, Arini, where do you trust yourself?
It just puts a little more pressure there.
Yeah. Do you trust yourself in neutral, or do you trust yourself of getting out against a guy that's one of the best guys in top in the country? I think you go neutral, all right? And I think you keep attacking, because you've got, if you think about it, you've got 4 minutes to get a takedown. You've got this 2 minutes in the third period, and if nothing scores, you're going into overtime 1-1. And then you've got another 2 minutes of sudden victory. So I think this is the right call. Very strategic second period by Arini to get that riding time over a minute.
Yeah. Then putting in that work early really is going to potentially pay big dividends late.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to, be overly aggressive in this third period. You don't want to be here. This isn't where you want to be, but you don't have to worry about giving up a stall call, because you have been taking some shots and forcing the offensive action. Filippi hasn't made any offensive attempts. And there, Arini's on the first clean shot of the bout. Filippi's going to look to get weight down, put some pressure on that lock. And you can't ever count out his ability to roll through then. Arini's got to get his weight back, get that foot up. And it's just Filippi got a lot of weight on that lock and just kept going down, down, down. And just whenever you've got a leg up in the air and somebody's pulling you down, you don't realize how much that is taxing on just your back strength. And you kind of saw Arini kind of concede that position there. I think it's just because it's so tiring to hold on to a leg like that.
Fends off a little shot there. Again, the ride time, and you see it, 1:04. That's everything right now.
Yep. The strategy heading into this match for Arini, you either got to get a takedown, or you have to get riding time and be able to pick neutral in the third. And he was able to get that riding time, and now we're going into sudden victory. Now, where that comes into play, if there's nothing that happens in this last 20 seconds, Philippi has the clear advantage if we ever have to go to tiebreakers, because his ability to ride on top is just, it can't go unnoticed. So if you're Arini, you got to make it happen from neutral.
Philippi with 4 seconds left, and a sprawl from Arini will prevent the score.
So I was talking about earlier, when Philippi gets to that 2-on-1 position, he has the ability to, you know, control it, kind of put you to sleep there a little bit, and then quickly attack legs, and that's what he's been doing these last kind of minute. He's changed the momentum around. So we've got a 2-minute sudden victory. The first point scored wins. Philippi's been, you know, just kind of very stingy. Arini's got on that one shot, but other than that, he hasn't been all that close to scoring.
This is our 4th OT bout of the night.
Philippi, impressive righty single. Like I said, like I think he feels that, like, I need to find ways to score for my feet, and he has taken some really good attacks in this match. Not a lot of people talk about that. Like, he does have a good righty single. I think it's sometimes just about forcing yourself to open up and do it. And the pressure of an overtime match, I think, has kind of really put some pressure on him to do that. And Arini and Philippi, just, man, their flexibility is so good. And there you see both of them have had leg up in the air, and both of them have been able to get out of bounds. I don't want to speak too soon. Philippi's still in, but
the flexibility of Arini, just an audible gasp from this crowd here.
Yep. So, 2 very similar sequences. Both guys have been able to get leg up. You create this long, kind of drawn out try to attempt to finish, and it does wear you out. You know, Philippi looks like he's got some good gas in the tank. So I'm not too worried about that, but like, it's still, you're holding on to a guy's leg with all of his weight down on that lock for over 30 seconds. It's tough. You start to get frustrated, like, why am I not finishing these shots? I do this all the time in practice. There he takes another straight on shot and just is finding the ability to get to the legs.
What are you looking for here in this position?
Well, if Arini can stay in this position, stay with both legs kind of around the head, he's in a good spot. But Philippi's doing a great job of isolating one leg and putting him in some danger. That's what you have to do. You have to isolate one leg and then try to get the other leg over top of his head. And he's in a really good spot here to finish. Arini's just saved by the bell. He made a really good adjustment to isolate one leg with 2 hands, pop the knee up over your head so you're not in that split the middle position.
So we go to the tiebreakers.
Arini has showed the ability to get over a minute of riding time in regulation. The intensity and the pressure is heightened now, but he's got to get this ride out. I don't think you can rely on your ability to get off bottom against Philippi in a 30-second ride out. No stall calls on either guy, so you can give up a stall call here on top. Really good first half of that overtime period. 16 seconds left. Hasn't used one of his stall warnings yet. So you get 1 stall warning and then it's a point. I think what you're going to see here is Arini ride a little bit, and then drop down to a leg to give him some time to give up that stall warning.
Yeah. 16 seconds. Philippi to his feet pretty quickly here. 10 seconds. Looking for a mat
Arini,
return.
just stay on your feet. Stay on your feet.
And he does ride out Philippi.
Now
that is huge.
It's huge, and Arini has the ability to pick neutral now. So the score is tied, all right, but Arini's got that 30 seconds of riding time, so there's no point in going bottom because then you risk not getting out. Right? Arini has no stall calls. He can just dance around on his feet and just avoid getting taken down. He's going to win this match. But Philippi, just a dog on a bone, just keeps tacking those legs.
There's the stall warning.
There's the stall warning. So
that'll make for a very interesting last 14 seconds.
If Arini gets hits for stalling, he's going to lose. Any points scored here by Philippi will win him the match. All right? But if it remains tied, Arini holds the advantage in riding time.
5 seconds left.
Orini does
moves
it.
forward, and he upsets 6th-ranked Mickey Philippi.
Orini just patient, and he cracks the Philippi code. Doesn't give up those takedowns. That's going to be one thing for Philippi. Moving forward, he's got to find a way to get those takedowns. You can't leave it to those tiebreaker situations all the time, but an impressive performance by NC State. Just kind of dismantles this Pitt lineup.
What an exclamation point for Kai Orini. The upset victory, and NC State wins it big, 23-9. Quite a performance for the Bats.
The 7-3 split. However, there was a lot of those close matches. You knew coming in, NC State was heavily favored in 3 matches, right? And they had to find a way to pick up 2 other ones along the way. And not only did they do that, they picked up 3 of those close ones, and they picked up an upset bid. Really impressive performance by the Wolfpack.
What a duel here in Raleigh for our fantastic crew in Raleigh. And my partner Hayden Hidley, I'm Andrew Sanders saying so long. NC State protects its home turf and hands Pitt its first ACC loss of the season.